Hello there, this is Caesar on Toast, and you're watching another episode of All the Mods 2. In this episode, we're going to be starting off by upgrading our power system. So I've gone ahead and ripped out all of the oil generators here. They were previously using the oil, which you get by pressing canola in the canola presses, then fermenting the oil into a barrel. The next stage is to get crystallized oil, and for that we actually need to do a little bit of a complex automated system. So I thought I'd walk through this on camera with you. I've already done it in creative, so I know roughly how this is going to look, but obviously in creative I could fly around and see it from all the angles, and we've already failed. So basically we want to use a right click with a redstone torch, and that's going to let us not have this spill everywhere. So first step is not to have the oil just spill out like that. So essentially we have these four things that we need to do. So first off, we need to place out the oil. Then we need to place a canola seed. So let's just make some more space here. And on the other side too. I need plenty of space. Okay, so we need to put the oil on the ground, then put a canola seed in the oil. Maybe not exactly in this order, but this will work. This is how I tried it. Then you use the atomic reconstructor, and that will turn your seeds into crystallized seeds. And then once all that's done, you have a fluid collector, and that will collect all your fluids, hence the name. So we might actually reorder these things. I'm not sure what the best way of putting them in is. I'm going to try putting the atomic reconstructor here and the fluid collector here, so then that can feed directly out. So we pull some fluids from that, and we need to put it into our oil generators. So there they are. These things all need to be emptied, so we'll just clear them of oil by crafting them like that, and we can put them all in a row. So how do we do this? We need them to go out into this wire. So if we have a transfer pipe that comes out here, we can put stuff into their fronts like so. So that will put the crystallized oil into them, and then we'll be able to pull out power from the right side. So we can also do that here, and maybe we need to go under the ground for this as well. That's not a problem. This is kind of one of those behind the scenes things that I'll just take for granted, that once it's built, and we don't really need to worry about it. So we'll just stick in 2 more generators there, and 1 more here. And we need to hook those up to the pipes as well. So those all will have the crystallized oil going into them once we've got that done. And we need to pull some power out of that. And we'll just do that with these gold fluxed cables, which is gold flux wire. And I believe that they are good enough to take all the power out that we need. So there we go. That's our power generating setup. Now we just need to set up our way of making the crystallized seeds. So this is basically like an ordered redstone thing that we need to do. And I've just realized that we need to actually space this out a little more. So I'm going to go ahead and do some more steps here. This is the basic setup, but I'll make sure that everything is in the place that it needs to be off camera. So we're ready to do the first test of this system. I did a little bit of rejiggering inside here, but nothing too major. This is going to actually pop me inside the wall maybe. No, that's fine. This blink thing is really, really useful. So let's light it up so you can see it first up. And I'm sorry about the jitteriness. I think it's the worms that cause a little bit of lag, but they do make the whole thing go faster, so I'm going to keep them in. So essentially what we've got here, there's one piece that's missing that will kickstart the whole process, and another thing is missing that means we can't automate it just yet, but we'll be able to do it pretty soon. Just need to hook some stuff up. So basically what we've got here is a little timed circuit that relies on this fluid collector being empty. So every time the fluid collector runs out of crystallized oil, it's going to remove this comparator signal, which when there's a torch here will invert it, and so it sends a pulse out. The first thing that gets activated is this this stone brick, which sends a pulse to the fluid placer and the precision dropper. This is going to be placing canola seeds into the little pit here, and this will place oil in. As you can see, both of them are now loaded up. Then one tick later, the atomic reconstructor, which is being powered from these machines themselves, that's going to turn the seed into a crystallized seed, which will turn the oil into crystallized oil. And then a tick after that, the fluid collector will pick up the fluid, pass it into these machines, and then whenever that's finished and it's empty, it'll send out another signal and the whole thing will run again. So let's watch. So here we go. This is emptying, and then it empties and it keeps running like a clock. So this is a pretty effective way of doing it, and you don't actually waste any materials this way because you only ever produce oil whenever the pipe is able to pass more on. So this is now passing crystallized oil into these oil generators. As you can see, because this one isn't full quite yet, it hasn't gone on to the next one, but maybe on the next pass this one will start to fill up. I don't know what order these pipes go in, but I assumed that it was, so it might be this bottom one that goes next. Yeah. So basically these are all going to fill up, and now we are producing a ton more power than we did just with base oil. And all we need to do to finish this system up is hook up the pipe coming from one of the farms producing canola seeds. Oh, we've accidentally picked up here. That's a flaw in the system. So that's never gonna go. Oh dear. I didn't plan for this. How do we fix it? So basically what we need to do is send a pulse into that. There we go. And then we need to run a pulse through this. There we go. So the system should fix itself there. So I just have to make sure not to stand too close to it, otherwise I will pick up the seed. But yeah, so basically the way I designed this, in case you were wondering, is whenever you're doing any kind of redstone that involves delicate timing, you want to have like buttons on top of all the stuff, and then press the buttons in the order you want it, just to make sure you got the right rhythm. So what I was doing was like releasing the oil, releasing the seed, then changing the seed into a crystallized seed, and then removing it. So it just became that order, and it turns out that you could do something simultaneously. So I combined them by using this little piece of redstone here. So this is kind of a vanilla-y way of doing it. I've seen there are designs of people using Ender IO to automate this a bit better, because they've got cables that can transport fluids, power, and items all in the space of one block. But unfortunately, I don't think that mod is in this pack. So you kind of have to do the best with what you're given. Yeah, so we've only got Ender Zoo, not Ender IO, which is a great tech mod. And I was wondering as well if you could do this with Mechanism. But this works fine and is pretty compact. So all we've got to do now is, I'm not even going to do this on camera, is just hook up this to a item duct coming from both of the canola farms, and this will be sweet. So we're kind of set for power again for a while. There is another tier above this, but I will get that on whenever I need it, basically. So we're going to move on and do something else now. Okay, so I've spent some time, and I'm well and truly down the rabbit hole now, and I think I'm almost done. Just a little bit more building to do today. But basically, I've had to dive into extra utilities a little bit because of the thing that I'm making. So I came to the conclusion that we had all this power, and we weren't really doing anything with it. Periodically, I did double my ores and stuff like that, but really, at the end of the day, there wasn't much that needed that persistent level of power, especially now that we've got the crystallized oil. So I decided that I would do something a bit different and start to make a factory. So one of the big things that's fun to do in modern Minecraft is just to mass produce blocks. I know I'll never use a lot of the blocks that I'm mass producing, although I am currently making blocks that I'm using to build this factory itself, which is pretty cool. So just making stuff for the sake of making it, really. And so what we've got with extra utilities here is a transfer node that's between a piece of water and lava with a cobblestone in the middle. And you put a world interaction upgrade. It might now actually be called mining upgrade. Yeah, there it is. So I basically went down this rabbit hole with extra utilities too. And we're like, okay, we need the upgrade mining that allows mining of cobblestone. And this is basically just putting cobblestone into here. And we've got 3,000 already. I only started this afternoon while recording. And so that's a bit mental. But what you needed to make this was actually an upgrade base, which you need this resonator thing. And then the resonator needs this grid power, which you can see on some of the extra utilities machines. So you might have noticed I had some windmills up there. Those are actually generating grid power for us, and that is what you need to get the cobblestone to be generated from that mining upgrade. And as far as I know, you don't need any wires. Those things are over there, and grid power seems to be transferable across all machines in my world. And so I was even doing stuff with the little resonator table down there. So that's what the spinny wheel was for. So basically what we've got here is a way of making lots of different blocks that are commonly used, and I'm going to expand this in the future. There's a bit more space along this wall and along here, and we might even make it multi-story. But basically from cobblestone, I learned this using Sky Factory. You can get things like gravel, then sand, just by using things like crushers. So these are the mechanism crushers, and of course you can upgrade these if you so desire, but that might use up more power. And I think the rate we're going at, we've got 165 sand. That also might not be necessary to produce, but whatever. So then if I don't want to produce any more sand, if I just want to go for gravel, this will start collecting gravel now instead. So we've basically got a fully configurable system there. Oh, it's actually pulling my gravel out. Oh, it's pulling it out into the transfer node. Yeah, that's fine. So once that gets a stack in there, this will start to fill up. So we've got a little bit of a buffer, and then this is to make glass, and this is to make the stone. So there's tons and tons of recipes in the game that need lots of these blocks. So it's just going to be nice for building things in the future, because I want to do a few more builds before I give up on this world. I think that would be really nice to strive for in the future. And I think that's going to be it for me for today. Thank you very much for watching, as always. I might have 250 subscribers by the time you watch that, and if so, thank you very much for watching and subscribing, as always, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye bye.